It is Friday, December 11th, 2020. I'm Pastor Thor Ramsey with Center Church. This is Gospel for 5, where we take 5 minutes out of our day and we focus on the gospel and the one who saved our souls, which is Jesus Christ. Now, we've been going through Paul's letter to the Galatians. So yesterday we hit on this thought: formerly, when you did not know God, you were enslaved to those that by nature are not gods. So we give up our freedoms to things that we believe will give us freedom, is really what it is. In one sense, if you want protection, right, you're willing to give up your freedom to be protected, or you'll give up a freedom if you need something. But generally, I hate to keep using government as an analogy, but it's that idea when the government, somebody said this before, many people have probably said this, but when the government says something is temporary, watch out, because it's never temporary, right? So generally when they say, oh, this is a temporary restriction of your rights, but we won't do this all the time, boom, all of a sudden it's a thing, right? And initially we're willing to what? We're willing to lay down some liberties because we think we're going to get freedoms when what we're really going to get in the end is bondage. But it works that way with many things. I'm just saying the principle works that way in all these different idols in our lives. We give up freedoms because we think we're going to get a benefit, but in the end what we really find is enslavement. But now that you've come to know God, or rather to be known by God, now there's a great point. I mean, we often bemoan that we don't know God the way we ought to, and that's always true, but I know what's never true? God not knowing you. God not understanding you. God not loving you. God, fill in the blank, but God knows you completely. He upholds you. He plans for you. He's with you. He guides you through. But now that you've come to know God, or rather to be known by God, there is the key. That's what makes the Christian life the Christian life. Not that you're brilliant, not that you're a spiritual giant, but that God knows you. I don't care how low on the spectrum of social status you are. If God knows you, that's everything. If you're like, I know this much about salvation. I know that I'm a sinner and Jesus saved me and that he rose from the dead and that he's God in the flesh. And I don't understand much beyond. It doesn't matter. God knows you. It matters that you know that much. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But the point I'm trying to make is the thing that makes the Christian life here's the thing to know. God knows you. That's the thing to know. God knows you. And the thing to know about God is his love for you. How he knows you. That's the thing to understand in the Christian life. We're told earlier, you're now a son. You're a daughter to God who loves you. He knows you. He chose you. He wanted you. That becomes vital in actually living the Christian life and making it through, especially in discouraging times like the times we're living in now. But now that you come to know God, or rather to be known by God, how can you turn back again to the weak and worthless elementary principles of the world, whose slaves you want to be once more? There it is. So, again, the theme of Galatians, grace plus nothing. God chose you. He wanted you. He made you his child. It was a free gift of grace. You can't add anything to it. And then what are they doing? Oh, we believe in now we feel like we should add this to our religion. We need to add this to the gospel of grace because we feel this will really make us feel secure. This is really important for us to add. It's like you're going back to instead of standing in the freedom with which Christ has set you free, if you add something saying, I must also do this in order to be right with God, in order to be loved by the Father, then you're actually giving up a freedom because you think you're going to gain something by it. This is what he's talking about. That same type of principle. These weak and worthless elementary principles of the world. That's the way the world bargains. give up your freedom and I'll love you and take care of you. Whether a human being says that to you, or now a parent should say that to their child. That's not the analogy I'm using. But the point I'm trying to make is we look to people and things, and we give up our freedoms for these people and things because we think we're going to get a return, and they're weak and worthless, and we find ourselves enslaved instead of free. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Now, what has God said to you today?